Good evening. This is the Administration of Public Works Committee, Monday, July 27th, 2015. Our apologies for the late start to the committee. The technical difficulties have been resolved for the short term, and we hope that agenda item A3.3 will resolve them in the long term. I declare a quorum, and with apologies for Alderman Rainey's absence tonight. Do we have approval of the minutes of a regular meeting from July 13th, 2013? I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Braithwaite, are you ready for the bills and the payroll?
Yeah, you want to go ahead and take it? I'll second.
Sure. I move A1, which is City of Evanston payroll through July 12th of $3,007,069.70, and A2 together of our City of Evanston bills of $4,125,717.81.
Second.
Committee, have you had a chance to review the responses to the questions about the bills? Are there any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd like to move item 3.1, approval of the extension of rock salt purchase contract with Morton Salt, and the total of $522,825 for action.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Alderman Miller?
Move approval of item A3.2, which is the purchase of Panasonic hardware from CDS Office Technologies in the amount of $323,151.
Second.
There being no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
A3.3, approval of sole source purchase of new broadcast equipment from AVI Systems in the amount of $23,135.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I move approval of our contract with Klaus Brothers for restoration of the Clark Street Beach Bird Sanctuary project in the amount of $145,771.50. The funds come from payments made to the city pursuant to our agreement with Northwestern University in connection with the construction of the Siegel Welcome Center. And this represents the construction work on that project. Alderman Braithwaite.
Step here. Is it possible just to, can I have a picture of the proposed project? Sorry.
Picture of the proposed project. If you have it here, that would be great. If not, you can just email it to me.
I don't have it right here, but we can provide that to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
I can say it's pretty cool. We had, if you don't mind, Ms. Levine, we had, 2 community meetings to work out details of the plan itself, including representatives from the university and our birding community and the Evanston Green community. So it's really a lovely design. I think will please everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Alderman Braithwaite?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move item 3.5, approval of the replacement vehicle lift purchase from Mohawk Lifts for Fleet Services in the amount of, $133,593.87.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
It's a lift.
Thank you. Alderman Miller?
I move item A3.6, which is the purchase of a 22-passenger bus in the amount of $57,701 for the Levy Center.
Second.
Alderman Braithwaite?
No, I just think it's pretty cool. What is it? 50% of that funding is coming from the Levy Foundation. So thank you to our partners in the Levy Foundation.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to thank the Levy Foundation
All of us
for this?
do.
We all do. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Approval of A3.7, approval of contract for the parking access and revenue control system with Automated Parking Technologies, LLC, in the amount not to exceed $1,339,847.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Lyons, did you want to add some commentary about what we did at the last committee meeting and what we will be exploring with this contract?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. As a
Thank
part,
you. Sorry to put you on the spot.
no, it's okay. This is the same report that we had at the last meeting, and then we have a secondary memo that shows the cost for the additional equipment to do credit card in, credit card out is $38,000 approximately. That will bring the entire project still under budget of the $1,450,000 originally budgeted.
Any questions? All in favor of 3.7?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. I'll move approval of a 4.1, approval of a change order number 2 with Glenbrook Excavating and Concrete for the finished water metering improvements in the amount of, that increases the contract amount by $152,098.61 to a total amount of $640,592.61.
Second.
Second. We have one citizen wanting to comment on this. Mr. Rizky?
Looking at this, I find it a bit troubling. It appears to me to be quite a few errors in this. I'd like to get more information as why this had to be dug up 4 times, I read. And the question is, to me, the cost of doing this should have been far less than this. This is, basically money wasted. Somebody made a mistake here, and it wasn't, I think it was the city possibly, in my opinion, because it doesn't sound like the process was done right. I mean, the change should have been done. The engineer should have been notified. It sounded like the contractor went ahead and did something without the proper notification. We probably lost $100,000 here, it looks like to me. So that's how I feel about this, just looking at it. There should be an investigation here, how the city's doing business with its engineering here on these projects. Because frankly, you have a big water tank coming, and if you can't do these little things, right, what's going to happen there? Do you want me to go on to the next one, or wait till this is done? I asked to speak on the next 2. All right, on the next item, what's troubling there, I looked on the city website. There's an environmental report that's over 400 pages long. The issue is you're paying for this, but when I looked at the environmental report, I saw city workers holding chunks of black material. And the question is was the material safe? The workers were not in any type of protective clothing or anything handling this material. And I thought it was very interesting that how the city's doing business again was something. If it's a hazard, why wasn't the worker properly clothed to handle the material? So here again, there's another process problem here with the city. And one last thing I'll add to this, because I'm not going to speak again, is I like that when the appraisal comes for Smiley for the recycling center, citizens should be able to see that prior to anything going on. Thank you.
4.2, any questions?
No, 4.1.
4.1, sorry.
first.
Any questions on 4.1?
In the report, I thought it was the city was still considering what to do toward the engineer, and I was assuming that was outside engineers. Is that not correct? So, yes.
Mr. Stoneback?
I believe that. I read that. Okay.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Dave Stoneback, Utilities Director. This does involve an outside consulting engineering firm, Baxter Woodman, who was the engineer under the design.
Okay, but I'll have to
And
find
yes, the
it.
city is still looking into whether or not they will pursue remediation.
Reimbursement. Yeah. I just wanted to let Mr. Risky know that we just are not ignoring it.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Stoneback. Any other questions? Having read the packet materials, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. A 4.2, Alderman Braithwaite?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move item A 4.2, approval of the 2015 water main replacement and street resurfacing project for CIP change order number 2. This is with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, and it's in the amount of $160,000.
I will second it, but I want to make a comment.
Alderman Holmes?
If you noticed, Alderman Rainey did have questions about A-Lamp. And in terms of them not being able to meet their requirements for Everson employees. And I'm just sort of, when Mr. Risky raised this question about seeing city workers. I don't know if he was talking about our city workers or the workers with ALAMP not being properly closed with handling what he considers to be dangerous materials.
Yeah.
Do we know who that would be?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't look at the report online, so I'm not sure
It's
what
here.
he's referring to.
Madam Chair, Alderman Holmes, members of the committee, good evening. We continue to be very cautious with this area. I think you're all aware of the existing litigation that is currently underway with that. This contract is being let, this change order is being let out of an abundance of caution as far as the legal matter, more so than anything else. Mr. Farrar can speak in more detail to that. We feel that our folks are safe. The purpose of this, however, is to make sure for legal purposes that anything that might be uncovered further through this contract is properly handled and properly taken care of.
And
And it's more from a legal perspective as far as evidence than it is anything else. And Mr. Farrar, if you'd like to elaborate, I realize, and I'm sure you all realize, that in the midst of a litigation, we want to be as transparent as possible, but at the same time, we have concerns regarding the ongoing litigation. Mr. Farrar?
Thank you, Manager Bob Quitz, Grant Farrar, Corporation Counsel, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Yes, with respect to the James Park litigation that's currently pending, the City of Evanston and the two parties that we are litigating against, NICOR and ComEd, we've spent the balance of the last 9 months involved in some very contentious negotiations relative to preservation of evidence. And so one of the components of that that cuts both ways is the preservation of any possible evidence related to the ground conditions or the pipes or anything that is discovered underground during the course of any work. So may recall, members of the committee, that the City of Evanston forced NICOR and ComEd to agree to preserve evidence relative to some of its operations, and as can be expected in the course of litigation, ComEd and NICOR insisted that the city follow those same issues. So unfortunately, there is a cost associated with that. However, I would remind this committee and the full city council, if the question comes up then, that the city takes the position that all of these costs are recoverable and reimbursable under the fee shifting provisions of the environmental statutes that are in play in this matter.
Okay. And I believe me, I understand that I'm sort of mixing apples and oranges when I ask about ALAMP, but I'm asking about ALAMP for two different reasons. One, because Alderman Rainey had raised that question about their other contracts, but also, are these our employees or are these ALAMP employees that?
ALAMP employees are doing the work right now.
Oh, okay.
And Alderman Holmes, members of the committee, certainly our staff, our utilities work department staff have been involved in these pipes in the past. We'll certainly follow with Mr. Riskey if there's a particular photo. Mr. Stonebeck's not aware of the particular photo, but we'll certainly identify it and we'll let you know who that is. But again, I think as Mr. Farrar has mentioned, this is largely regarding the ongoing litigation. We feel that our folks are safe, have been safe as they have worked on this, and this is out of an abundance of caution to make sure that all parties are covered appropriately legally moving forward with this. On the other matter regarding the issues on the bills list regarding ALAMP, as the staff to the Evanston Minority Women Business Enterprise Program, I can let you know that city staff Sharon Johnson is being very vigilant, and I think the fines that you saw on the bills list this evening are part of that, and she is working very closely with ALAMP and all the contractors that are doing work. Certainly they've got a couple of different projects that are being worked in Evanston right now, and that's something that her job is to do exactly that. So she is doing that. I think at some point, I know Alderman Braithwaite is having the committee make periodic reports back to the City Council about all capital projects,
right.
and I think that it might be appropriate at some later point to look for continuing trends among contractors, perhaps that aren't able to meet those qualifications that they commit to, and I think that'd be something for another conversation. But we're very much aware, and Ms. Johnson's doing an excellent job of staying on them on a daily, weekly basis to make sure that they are fulfilling their commitments, and when they are not, they are being so penalized.
Right. Thank you.
It's good to have someone monitoring compliance.
Absolutely.
With these contracts. A4.2 having been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Alderman Miller?
Move approval of A5, which is a sidewalk cafe for Vinnick Wine at 1509 Chicago Avenue, the application.
Second.
All in favor, or Alderman Miller?
Question on this, too. According to our statute, our ordinance, we're actually required to have the vendors required to serve alcohol with the meal. And looking at the menu, and I'm not opposed to the application, it's just we're getting to the point where I think it's a wine and cheese kind of plate thing as opposed to a meal. And I'm not opposed to the actual application. I just like to figure out a way we can move beyond this. So, Grant, do you want to answer in terms of what's a meal for purposes?
Yes, the definition of a meal has been subject to ongoing iteration and further redefinition over many recent years here. With respect to the issue of the sidewalk cafe and how that relates to the meal service, I believe that some of the revisions that staff is looking at and bringing to council relative to a new permitting process for sidewalk cafes will speak to that issue. There has been some question about that requirement. So I think that, I guess for purposes of today's discussion, staff is on it, and we'll just bring that to you so that hopefully we can address the new business models that are going on here.
Perfect, thanks.
Anything more? All in favor of a sidewalk cafe permit for Vinnick Wine? Any opposed? Thank you. Alderman Holmes?
A6, Resolution 76-R-15, amended contract with city manager. The mayor recommends the adoption of Resolution 76-R-15, amending the contract with city manager Wally Bobkowitz. Move approval.
Second.
Alderman Miller?
I just want to clarify, because there's been some comments in the media about what the 2.5% general increase that Manager Bobkowitz is getting. This is consistent with cost of living adjustments that we're doing across the board in this city. So Manager Bobkowitz elected not to take a pay raise based on merit, and consistent with other staff members in the city. So I just want to put that out as well, as this is what the entire staff is getting according to cost of living. Thanks.
Right. Has nothing to do with merit.
Not saying he.
Not saying he doesn't have
It's not
to
merited.
deal with it. It's not
Yeah,
merited.
It
but
is merited.
Right.
This has nothing to do with merit.
The amended contract for City Manager Bobkowitz having been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I move Resolution 69R15, authorizing the appointment of a deputy treasurer. That would be Accounting Manager David Mimers as our deputy treasurer of the City of Evanston.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations,
What are you
Mr.
doing?
Mimers.
I was listening.
Yeah. We're looking. Any opposed? There you have it. Alderman Braithwaite, A8.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move item A8, ordinance 83.0-15, authorizing the sale of surplus fleet vehicles.
Second.
I had a quick question.
Alderman Braithwaite, a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think we estimated 1.3 million in sales for some of the vehicles. And my question to Mr. Lyons is, how do we track the dollars that come back in, and what do you do with them?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Alderman Braithwaite, the sale of surplus vehicles is deposited back into the equipment replacement fund where the vehicles are purchased from. Last year, we had a budget of a little over $200,000 for revenue coming back from the sale of the vehicles. So with a new purchase of approximately $1.5 million, we're getting $200,000, and we do keep our vehicles for the most part well past their stated replacement age. So we're very happy with the auction process used with the joint city process that we employ.
Great. Anything else? All in favor, A8?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Alderman Miller?
Move approval of item A9, which is ordinance 99-0-15, which is the sale of a city-owned property at 1941 Jackson Avenue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. But
Any
we
opposed?
want
Great.
suspension of the rules as well for this.
So we will be moving to suspend the rules. We don't need to move here. We do it at council, assuming?
We can.
All right. Thank you. Alderman Holmes?
Ordinance 97-0-15, amending the city code to establish a four-way stop control at the intersection of Lake and Gray Avenue.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Ordinance 101-015 regulates panhandling and soliciting activities. These are amendments to our panhandling regulations. I move approval.
Second, and I have...
This is for introduction. Yes, Alderman Holmes?
The panhandling in terms of residential areas, I know it's up to 6 o'clock. Could we look at that again or make a reference? Because I'd like to see that move back to 4. If I remember years ago, it used to be 4 o'clock. And the reason why, as it gets into the winter hours, to have people coming soliciting, it's dark at 5 o'clock. So I would make the reference that we look at that in terms of having that stop at 4 o'clock just year round, because you just don't need people coming to your house after 4 o'clock to solicit
Okay.
or panhandle.
So noted.
Thank you.
Clarification, that's only for door-to-door panhandling, not necessarily in public places, right?
I'm talking about in the residential area.
Okay.
The door-to-door. So just a reference back to this committee for that amendment to the ordinance. All in favor of introducing amendments to the ordinance as recommended by staff?
Aye.
A11?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move item 812, ordinance 103-0, decreasing the number of Class D liquor licenses for Table 9 LLC, doing business as company, and the address is 1307 Chicago Avenue. This is for introduction.
They're doing business at Table 9, right? Is that the name of the company?
It just, yeah,
It's not-
company,
Oh, just company?
company.
Oh, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And perhaps we can suspend the rules to get this off the books at council. Any items for discussion tonight?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, our next meeting is Planning and Development. We are adjourned.